Hello, it's Paul Valencia, and I'm back in my regular seat. Not that you guys can see that, but maybe I sound better in this regular seat.
You do, actually. I noticed.
Tony Liberator from Fort Vancouver High School.
Trappers.
The associate principal at Fort. Well, there's many, but I still say the. It's like the Ohio State. The
associate.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Cale Pyland in a is that a salmon shirt? Is that
I would
salmon?
call it salmon, yes.
Salmon.
Yes.
Or as Jonathan Abram of the Raiders once said, salmon
Yeah.
on Hard Knocks.
And by the way,
salmon. He pronounced the L.
The velvety tones of Paul Valencia sound good anywhere. So
thank you.
Right, it's just consistent, buddy.
Anyway, Cale Pyland of Evergreen Schools, the athletic director for all Evergreen Schools.
There you go.
There we go. There, I did.
That was pretty good there.
Yeah, thank you.
That was like a good intro.
So
actually, we should get like walk-up music when he introduces us. I think that would be kind of cool.
What's up with the production values?
Yeah, we'll do that. Hopefully, we'll get in the new studio. We've been promised a new studio for a while. So we said by football season we'll have a new studio. Well, maybe they meant next football season.
Fall of 2025.
I don't know. Yeah,
there's lots of football seasons coming.
But,
so.
we're still very happy with what we have.
Absolutely,
no question.
Thank you so much for the space.
So thank you, U.S. Digital. So there's the plug. Hey, we've got high school football to talk about, including some big rivalry. A rivalry game, and then also we'll talk with these guys about their favorite rivals, and we'll do some computer rankings that have a lot of good, Clark County teams in some good positions, and we'll see what that is, and we'll laugh at RPI. We'll talk a little bit of NIL, right? No.
Yeah, NIL.
You got
name, image, likeness, and how it's affecting college athletes, which means it affects Clark County athletes who will become college athletes, and how weird that's going on with the UNLV situation. But I don't know if you know what's going on with that, Cale and Tony, but that was weird last night. We'll get into that.
I did see that, yes.
Yep. And then, of course, we'll talk about our sports fandom for our professional sports teams. Tony and Cale, I feel for them as Mariner fans. They feel for me as Raider fans, and Tony is both a Raider fan and a Mariner fan.
Boy,
hey, why don't you just add the Blazers to it?
I was going to say, if you're going to pick a basketball team, you're in dire straits.
I love it.
Buddy.
That's why I'm living off the Huskies' last two seasons for 30 years.
Yeah, why do we do this for each other? Why do we do this to each other?
How do you feel about speed option into the short side of the field?
I was going to say,
fourth and goal.
That was kind of like what Julio did when he ran to the dugout.
A little bit. That's a good analogy. I like it.
He huskied it.
Yeah,
he huskied it. I like it.
You can't call it Kook anymore.
It's like Kook fans out there are loving that.
So Julio said, I'm going to pull a husky. I'm going to run sideways. Home plate's that way, dugout's that way, and the ball's in play. Okay.
But like I said, that should have been a dead ball.
I still think it should have been a dead ball too. But
bats flying at your head. Sit there and then get thrown out. Okay.
It was crazy, but especially the night after the guy tried to steal home.
Oh, come on.
Gosh.
My favorite though is just Justin Turner's look at the plate and what the heck was that? He couldn't have had a better look.
It's a very underrated high percentage play in baseball. Exactly. I think most baseball aficionados would tell you.
I think you do steal home when it's a 3-0 count with the bases loaded. You should do that.
You can do it. Yeah.
Hey, we're just trying to make stuff happen.
Yeah, so for sure. Anyway, we're gonna get to that at the end of the podcast. Believe it or not at the beginning. But that's a teaser. We call that a teaser. But we've got
we got teasers now too.
High school football, and I got a fun story. Actually, I've been to the Prairie Battle Ground game now twice in the last 2 years, but last year I was doing a feature on a battleground player, and it just happened to be the week of Prairie. But this week, last week, I went on purpose because this rivalry, they'd played 50 times over the years. And Prairie hasn't been around for 50 years, but back in the
used to play twice.
Back in the 80s, they used to play twice a year. Mm-hmm. They scheduled it twice a year.
Mountain View Evergreen used to as well.
So they played. This was 50 times, and they were tied 25-25.
That's pretty cool.
And so I thought, let's go do a story on Prairie Battleground, and I had a blast doing it. And then it was an absolutely amazing football game that had, I think, 5 or 6 lead changes in the second half, and Prairie won with 5 seconds left to take bragging rights. And I thought, wow, this is cool. And I was talking to the administrators at the game. You guys know them all. And I said, wow, a few years ago, if you would have told me that Mountain View and Union were playing and Prairie and Battleground were playing, that I'd be at Prairie Battleground, I think you'd be crazy. But football comes at you fast. I picked.
All right, Ferris.
And it turns out I picked the right game because it was an incredible football game. Whether I don't know what's going to happen in the future, this year for both both of these teams. But wow, that was fun. And it just reminded me of some of the great games I've covered over the years. And Cale was head coach for for a couple of them that I know of. I call it the Brig Walker game.
Yeah.
Evergreen versus Mountain View.
Yep.
And then you guys also did an onside kick, an actual when you were at Union, and you beat Camas. And that was, you guys were awesome. Was that the third year of Union? The second?
That was second year.
No, third year, but second year of elite, because you guys weren't elite first year.
No, we were 5-4 that year too. Yeah.
So, but yeah, everyone thought Union was going to roll. Camas had you guys, and you were down by 2 scores with a couple minutes left. Scored, got the onside kick, and scored again. And yeah, no offense, Camas, but.
Whoa! You're bringing up dirt on Camas.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was going to come.
It's early.
I knew.
Wow.
Yeah, these guys think I'm Camas lovers, but here I'm bringing up. I'm telling you,
prove to all the Skyview fans out there, it can happen. Yes. They can be beat. It can happen.
Oh, ouch! So, but I will say this: all my years as a journalist, until then, I'd seen onside kicks recover, but I've never seen teams recover an onside kick and then go score and then win the game until then.
Oh, really?
And then it happened a bunch of times, and it actually happened against Camas a couple of, once in the state championship game.
Right.
But anyway, I wanted to get your feeling as the head coach of what it's like to play those rivalry games. So Evergreen Mountain View in the early 2000s, and it was an amazing game, but that Brig Walker game is special. Go ahead, Kate.
No, yeah, that little fun fact for you, Paul. I've only been involved because obviously I went to Mountain View. So as a player, I was involved with 3 Evergreen Mountain View games and then multiple as a coach. I've only been involved with the Mountain View Evergreen rivalry from a football standpoint where there was only one time where Mountain View actually won the game. Every other time I've been involved with it, Evergreen has won.
Wow. Well, wait a minute.
Seriously?
But that also, that's not.
So
that's
you
not,
mean
that's
as a player,
that's not always a good thing, because that means you lost. That means you lost 3 times as a player.
Yes.
0-3 as a player.
0-3 as a player, and then I don't know what the total, how many times I could do the math, but the first year I was at Evergreen as the head coach, we lost to Mountain View.
Yeah, Mountain View won that one. Yeah.
And then we beat them the rest of the time. But yeah, that's an interesting little fact out there for you, Clark County sports fans.
Yeah.
I wonder if Levesque had that.
Yeah, what I loved about that, what I call the Big Walker game, is that was the one. Wasn't it like 5-3 or 5-2 for 3.5 quarters, and then there were 4 touchdowns scored, one back. Yeah, the lead changed 4.
It was
four
raining.
times.
It was raining sideways. I mean, it was terrible weather, and. It was like 3-2 or something. It was really strange score. And then like within the last 5 minutes, we went back. It was like then finally we took the gloves off and just started punching. And
it was 4 touchdowns the last couple minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think it was Matt Haas from Mountain View. I think that was his name, the receiver for Mountain View. He couldn't drop. He caught everything, and then Brick Walker topped him. It was just really.
What year was that?
That would have been 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2002 season, and our last drive, the drive where we won the game, we threw a nice little hook and ladder that got us way down the field, and then we were able to quote unquote hide Brig at tight end, and moved our tight end to the other side of the field because they had been matching. They had been. Anytime we were in trips formation, they were automatically crashing their corner off the backside and letting a linebacker cover the tight end one-on-one. And so we had noticed that, and so we had put this in where we were going to flip our formation and put Brig at tight end, move our tight end to the wide side of the field. And the funny thing is that I ended up having a Mountain View coach, the linebacker coach from Mountain View, Charbonneau Gord, that year, ended up being on my staff at Union. And they could see it from the sideline, but the stadium was rocking at that point in time, and they were out of timeouts, and so they were trying to tell their corner not to crash and to cover Brig, and he didn't get it, so he crashed, and then Brig was one-on-one with their linebacker, and that was an unfair matchup for their linebacker at that point in time, and Brig went up and made the play. Didn't actually score. We still had to punch it in from the one, but that was. That was a pretty emotional game for school.
It's one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen in McKenzie.
Oh, it was
Stadium,
giant.
Too.
Yeah.
It was
well, I mean, it's a rivalry game, and it's for the league title. So, and it was a Thursday night game. So, because that's when we still had the Thursday, Tuesday playoff thing, right?
Yeah.
So
that was weird. Yeah. So then, and then of course, Union and Camas was like a rivalry almost immediately because Union was good.
Yeah.
Really, and Camas wasn't Camas just yet. So
we were rising kind of at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So that was pretty special too. But Tony, you were with Columbia River for forever.
Yeah.
As a coach and an AD, and you've had some rivalry moments. What are some of your favorites?
So ones that just stick out is always for football is Columbia River Kelso. Mm-hmm. Always. I can think of 3 games off the top of my head. 97, fall 97, very special year with Brett Pierce and beating them for the league title up there. A real close game. Jared Curry, basically walk-off field goal for River. Then in season 03, Jordy Jackson, pretty much the entire offense. I would say I think he had close to 40 carries and close to 200 yards or a little over. Beat him, and then the last year we were in 3A, and we beat him up there. So 3 times getting up there. Right. And that was always a big one for River. But then just classic rivalry now, though, is that neighborhood rivalry with Skyview. Right. We've talked about how the football, just the 4A, 2A, and that football. But those crowds that were at River or Kelso, I don't know how River. Like I could tell some stories, just like people not getting into, not the stadium, but getting into the track part of River, not till halftime. The lines were so long. Yeah. And we really couldn't host it, but
right.
So it is what it is.
You weren't moving into Kiggins though. No.
No, we weren't. I gotta say, the field goal game, I don't know if it was this game or not. And I'm not even gonna mention names here because it's not fair. I haven't talked to them in a while.
The River Skyview field goal?
No, the River, the River Kelso or whatever. But the River Kelso game that you were talking about.
Okay.
But one of the assistant coaches, and I worked with his daughter, and so you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But the daughter once told me, "Yeah, that's the first time my dad ever hugged me."
You know what? I think you told me that.
After winning that game, I think it was that game.
Yep.
So I'm not going to mention names because I haven't talked to them in a while, and I wouldn't want to bring it up in case that's more hyperbole than not. But it's just funny. It's the first time my dad ever hugged me was beating Kelso.
That's good.
But hey, so at District Stadium. A big, Battleground and Prairie is a big deal in their world, and it was a nice crowd. And then as a journalist, I got to tell you, I went up there. I was going to do a story on the rivalry, which I did, but I wanted to talk to a player from each team. And so I asked the coaches before the game. I got there an hour and a half before the game. Can I have a minute or two with somebody, a leader on each team? Because I don't always like to talk to players who've lost the game right after the game, unless it's a playoff game and you got to. Because I don't need to. So they both gave me a player, and one was Owen Marine from Battleground, and Jackson Kimball, I think, from Prairie. So I talked to them before game, and this isn't supposed to happen this way, but the Battleground guy, Marine, he caught one of the go-ahead touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, and then caught the ball to get him on the 1 yard line to give him the lead another time. Yeah. And then Kimball caught the game winner with like 5 seconds left. And so it's like, that stuff doesn't happen. It's like, an hour and a half before the game, I'm talking to the guys that end up having these huge impacts.
So I know you don't do a lot of game stories anymore, right?
No, right.
But I'll tell you what, if I'm listening to this and I'm a coach in Clark County and Paul Valencia's on the sideline, I'm sending him somebody to talk to pregame now, right?
These guys, right? Paul Valencia's talking to me. I better show up clutch, right?
The Paul Valencia blessing is going to get you. Is going to bring a big play for you.
That was the anti-SI jinx. That was
it is the anti-SI jinx.
Yeah. These guys were
no Madden cover jinx for you.
Marine had a cast on his hand for crying out loud, and he still caught a touchdown pass.
So Paul, earlier you said that they changed second half leads 4 or 5 times. Wasn't that just in the last 8 minutes?
Yeah, it might have been. Again, and this is the weird part about. Here's a little inside baseball, because I don't do notes on every play anymore. Sure. I don't do the gamers. It's harder for me to keep track. Now I do have video clips of every score in the second half, and I put them on my Twitter page. So Valencia CCT at Valencia CCT. So if you wanted to go see the scoring play, so I have them all like that there, and I have all the scores. But it's weird. I still have total recall of some of the big plays from the 2000 Evergreen games,
right.
or even Union and Camas and all that stuff. But I can't remember what happened Friday night because I didn't write down every play like I used to.
And you're a little bit older now, Paul.
I am older now. I am older. That's
that
true.
memory.
That is true. That is true. So anyway, it's weird to have these, and then obviously with these rivalry games being split up, they're not in the same league or anything like that. So you do them in non-league, and it's not quite the same as it used to be us growing up. But they're still fun whenever they are when they happen and the communities come out. So I'm glad I went out to District Stadium. It was the game of the week. There were a few good games, but that was pretty special. So, all right, moving on. We now have 3 weeks of data. Data.
Yeah.
How do you
Tomato. There you go. Yeah. Potato.
So we have 3 weeks of data. So computer rankings have come out. Remember last week there was one ranking where one of our teams was ranked in the top 10, and I'm not even going to mention the name, but we just knew that wasn't. They're not a top 10. But now we got 3 weeks, so we got a third of the regular season, and Scorebook Live computer rankings, and they've got Camas and Skyview 1 and 2. That's really cool.
Evans did too.
You could definitely argue that case. I mean, when you look at their resumes so far.
Oh gosh, their schedules have been crazy good, and they're both undefeated. So, and excuse me, I did notice that Ridgefield was number 6 in the 2A rankings in the Scorebook Live rankings. La Center was 5 and Seton Catholic 6. But it's early because Royal was just number 4, and everyone thinks Royal's the best team in 1A. How many?
They
times?
are.
Yeah, are they 2-time defending champions?
Well, historically they are.
Yeah, they're just
historically
awesome.
they are.
Yeah,
I think if you ask Seton Catholic and La Center folks, they might think differently.
Right, but it's just really kind of neat that we've got these high rankings in these leagues. I mean, Seton, whoever went, and then Camas, Skyview in 4A, and Seton's La Center in 1A.
Yeah.
I think they both play each other week 9.
Well,
is it?
But I mean, the people in this room aren't surprised at that because when we talked, what was it, two of them ago or whatever, that we all 3 of us thought we would have somebody at Husky Stadium.
Yeah, we think absolutely, but it's still kind of cool to see the
we might need to amend that.
There.
I said one team. I'm after 3 weeks of scores.
Oh my gosh.
We may.
I'm really impressed with Skyview's defense. I'm not saying
I haven't seen them live yet, but I've heard that. Yeah.
So, and that they had a great comeback.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Yep.
Well, 2 weeks Friday.
Was that GK?
Or Saturday.
GK? Yeah. They were down 17-0 in the fourth quarter and won that game.
Yeah.
So, and it was their defense that kept getting the ball back. It was great. But then the other one, so you got Scorebook Live, you got Evans rankings, and then I saw today RPI is back on social media. The WI has announced RPI is back with a big exclamation mark, and I think it's funny because most people groan when they see the RPI as opposed to they're happy they're here. So it's the annual or mini, I guess it's the monthly because we'll be doing this it's the monthly reminder that RPI does not mean anything other than to get a discussion going. So I'm falling for the trap again. I got to say, though, this is fun because, one, Richfield is number 2 in RPI, so they're not groaning. The Sputters like that. But Kalama, La Center, and Seton, all from the Trico League, 1, 2, and 3 in the RPI.
Perfect.
What do you think? What do you guys think of that?
I think RPI as a metric is pretty much, I wouldn't say useless, but I think, look, it like you said, it's a starting point to have discussions, and then that's why you got to put human eyes on it. But hey, that's still cool that they're 1, 2, and 3. That's hey, we're talking about it, right? So, for as much as you hate RPI, Paul, you bring it on here quite a bit.
I know because I just saw it.
You're giving the WI the clicks it wants, man.
That's right. If you want to go look at and Royal's number 9, and Royal's sitting there going, okay, we're the 9th best team, all right, RPI. All right.
They're laughing all the way home right now.
But it's awesome. But again, years ago for basketball, they did it. They seeded it through this RPI system. So thank God they don't do that anymore.
Well, no, and none of it's good. The basketball was better than football because there are more games, so you have a larger sample size by which for that to 3 weeks of football is really hard for our. It's almost impossible.
Absolutely. Tony, your thoughts on the?
I think RPI stone cold lock. I love it.
So good luck.
It's awesome. It's the best thing ever.
You 1A homer. Look at you.
Go 1A.
Trico homer.
That's in our new league, so we got to root for him.
I'm already
That's the
looking
toughest league in the state.
Okay.
Well, one could make that argument.
Yes.
So
actually,
anyone out there from Kalama listening to this, I'm sorry right now. I'm just going to move ahead and just assume. I know I'm an ass if I do assume.
Don't do it.
Yeah, if the Center and Seton Catholic are 8-0 going into week 9, and they play a incredible game.
Where's that game supposed to be played?
The Center. So,
okay.
Ooh, that's interesting too, because that could be a mud bath.
Uh-huh.
I thought they fixed that field.
Well, yeah, but
still grass.
Still Pacific. You just walked outside today and got
that's
soaked.
That's true, but
right?
Lambert told me there's good drainage.
Well, it's still not as good as drainage as a artificial.
Correct.
It's true. Yeah. It's not Hawkinson.
And Seton's not used to playing on grass. I can tell you that.
I'm sure La Center would mud that thing up, right?
Gosh. Yeah,
Lambert's just going to give me the left hash.
Mr. Cook, the AD, I think he's going to forget to mow the grass for about 3 weeks before that game.
And then maybe take his 4x4 out there and I don't know, put some tracks up.
I swear, I think it was a year or two ago, there was a fumble in the Center game, and no one recovered the ball for a while because no one could find the ball. It was
the color of the mud.
It was under the blades of grass. You could not see it. Anyway, no, La Center would never do anything like that. So no. But anyway. But I just love thinking about that game, and someone's got to lose. And what's going to happen seeding wise? I mean, it's human being seeding, but across the state, there's going to be 4 or 5. There might be 4 or 5 9-0 1A teams, or a bunch of 8-1 teams. Is whoever loses that game going to slip to the 5 or 6 seed or 7 seed? And that's almost unfair. But if it happens, and again, Kalama might just mess it all up and beat one of them.
If you don't, what happens with that? I guess it's unfair to the team for whichever team loses that if they were to drop to 5 and 6. But it's also not fair to the team that they end up playing.
True.
Right. If you don't take the body of work and you misseed that, then it skews the whole thing.
True. So looking forward to it. That's why we got 6 weeks until then. But it's going to be fun. That week 9 is. I'm dreading it as a journalist because I have to pick which one to go to because they're at the same time.
Why don't you pull somebody and get them at the same stadium?
Kale, can we move? Never mind. Can we move your schools to a different state? Never mind.
No, we could just move their game to Saturday, then I'm always up for negotiating what percentage of the gate comes.
Here comes the athletic director has made his appearance.
The selling point is his turf.
So there you go. Played on it.
Yeah. If we can get Camas, Skyview, and Seton La Center back to back on a Saturday at McKenzie Stadium, that would be
where's the Skyview Camas game supposed to be?
Gosh, I'd have to look it up. I don't have it in my
week 8?
Memory. No, that's week 9. I think.
I thought you said Union Camas. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
But so whoever's there's no way that's happening.
Yeah, I know. I think it is that Camas.
No,
I know it's never going to happen. I'm just saying, I'm a selfish guy and I have not learned how to clone myself, so I can only go to one game, and I don't know what I'm. I still don't know what I'm going to do that week because it's that
Paul, we all know what you're going to do.
I know that's it.
Now here's the deal. Again, assuming schedules are set, assuming Seton and La Center win out, so they're both 8-0. Yep. Skyview still has West Lynn on the schedule. I think
this week. They play West Lynn this week.
Skyview, because the schedule is so tough, could lose 1 or 2 games and still be the second or third best team in the state.
Oh, no question.
That's how good they are.
Question.
So if you're going by schedules, it's possible that one or two of these teams could have a loss going into that game and still.
But can you fathom this, Paul?
Oh, no, here we go.
So you go to La Center Seton, and Skyview does what you've always said they can't ever do.
I've never said they can't.
Why don't you do that then? Maybe that'll break the jinx.
But if they win, and Kai's is going to wants to be there to say, hey, look, here we are, we did it, and you're not there.
I think I think you've convinced me. I've got to be at the Skyview Camas game. That's for darn sure. I have to be at that game. So, but
I don't know if they're both 8-0. Come on.
I know.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Yeah,
maybe that's a Twitter survey for you.
Oh, there you go. There you
Twitter
go.
survey, yes.
Where should positive Paul Valencia be on that Friday
Week
night?
8.
Right. At every, yeah. But what you're saying is Skyview fans should not want me in the building.
Correct.
Okay, because
No, they want
I'm
you
a
there.
jinx.
They want you there, buddy, so they can rub it in your face.
Oh, that
I've
too, but
never said they can't. I'm just saying that I will
No,
never.
you just remind them of the streak
I will
every
never
other
pick
week.
them to do it until I see it. It's just because I've seen 17-point leads in the fourth quarter go bye-bye.
So
Remember
wait,
we called that game. Do you remember that?
I remember calling that game, and I remember telling the Skyview fans were going, "It's all over," and I'm like, "These people have never seen this series. These people." I said it on the air.
You did.
I said these people do not know what they're talking
The
about.
warm up
This
the
is-
bus chance.
Yeah,
Dang
warm
it.
up the bus. I said, you
Sorry.
better have the ball taking a knee up by 14 with 10 seconds left before you do that chant. So Skyview fans, I'm telling you right now, if you are in position, if you do have a big lead against Camas in that game, don't chant until you have the ball and you are in victory formation. Is that fair?
No, but they're not going to be chanting that. They're going to be chanting Paul Valencia.
and that's fine.
I'm thinking pitchforks and torches after you.
I've been talking on this podcast all year about how great that Skyview defense is. So I am. There is.
Hey, if they beat West Lynn this week, I think you might be having to change your prediction.
I'm not. It's not
So
that
wait
I'm
a minute, though.
predicting. I'm not predicting Camas to win the game. I'm just saying that until Skyview proves otherwise, I can't go against Camas. Does that make sense?
I
didn't say
understand.
they can't win.
I understand what you're saying.
These guys, by the way.
Side note, real quick. Westland really have 8 D1 kids?
Oh, I'm guessing they do. I mean, it's.
Like legit D1
Right, yeah.
offers right now. I haven't checked. I haven't checked 24 or 247 in a while.
I mean,
whatever.
there's some pretty incredible teams in Oregon. There's like 3 or 4 incredible teams in Oregon, and they're one of them. So and again, as we transition into a story that happened in college football, and it'll affect recruiting and all this stuff going forward. So UNLV's quarterback last night just announced that he's done. He's
going to redshirt.
He's going to redshirt the rest of the year because NCAA rules say if you play 4 or less games in a season, it doesn't count as a full season. You get another. You could say I redshirt. I'm done. So I get a full other year of eligibility. So he's got one because this was his last year of eligibility, and it's crazy because his dad went on the record with several news outlets today and said this is what happened. They promised my son $100,000 for NIL. And
still doesn't have it.
So I heard something about that today that it didn't come from the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
It was the offensive coordinator who told him that.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean,
Right. And here's a couple other things that I saw on the way. Actually, I was here just a little bit early. So this was Pete Thamel, I think, he's one of the ESPN guys, pretty close with all that. The kid's agent, not registered in Nevada, never got anything written for the NIL. And
there you go.
And and I didn't get too into the weeds, but evidently there's something based on that it's against Nevada law. Mm-hmm. So UNLV is saying it's X, Y, and Z, we're not going to break the law. So
it'd be like pay for play.
Yes, that's what it was. That's the term, correct.
Right.
So, I mean, I get the kid has some eligibility things and you can take care of it, but it sounds like the family also, this agent's not registered in Nevada. And
what blows me away about it is just when I read that, I read an article like that too. I read that article as well. And it's so funny is that when you're hearing college athletes with agents, because we all grew up with,
that's
if you had an agent, you're already ineligible. I mean, everything has changed.
Reggie Bush?
Everything has changed so fast in just the last 5 years. And now what I was also thinking about, whether this quarterback was wronged or not, I don't know whose side is right. I don't. And it's none of my business. But what's crazy about it is even in the NFL or in pro sports, when you got a holdout in training camp, and even if it lasts into the season, all of the teammates understand that's the business part of it.
Sure.
Get the contract done, whatever. But I can't recall any NFL player ever playing 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Could you imagine Tom Brady
stepping away
and then saying, I'm gone? Because then now you have messed with the team.
Well,
but here's
the thing with this. They're ranked. And the highest ranked
4-0,
group of
3-1?
the highest ranked group of 5 team gets an automatic bid into the playoff.
This is the best UNLV start in football I think they've ever had.
So yeah,
as far as
imagine what that locker
rankings-wise.
room is like right now. I mean, how pissed you are.
That's what I'm getting at, though,
Yeah.
is that I've never.
Yeah,
This is. I don't know if it's unprecedented, but
it's a reverse holdout. Is really what it is, right?
And it's such a bizarre world that we're living in, and it does affect, yes, Clark County athletes, because we do have Division I athletes in basketball and football, and these are new obstacles or hurdles to clear with this. How much money, and collectives. That's the other thing. I mentioned that in our email. There are no collectives at Camas High School or Skyview High School, but there are. But
It's
by
just
the
called
way,
the Booster Club.
yes, but
They have a lot of hot dogs.
But they can't. The Booster Club can't say,
No, they
"Here's
can't.
money to
No.
you, athlete A, athlete B," and all this stuff.
It depends on what school. King Co. Hey, by the way, that's four podcasts in a row that we've gone after Bellevue. Thank you.
But we will say, but you can have name, image, likeness deals at high school.
Yes.
We know of at least one in Clark County who does have an NIL deal right now, and good for her. But I'm not going to go into that detail. I do plan on doing a story on it. I'll go into it a little bit more, but it is within the rules as long as the athlete does not mention the school name or wear the school name that they go
Correct.
to, that they compete for. The school cannot be part of it.
Correct.
So it's completely different than college, but you can. And that's been for years, right, Cale?
Yeah, no, it's people just didn't know about it.
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't been illegal ever. So if you were a superstar, high school athlete in Dick Hanna Dodge wanted you to come promote their dealership
truck,
or whatever, they could pay you to do that. You just couldn't show up in your Camas jersey as
Right.
So.
There is a limit though too, isn't there? Was it 500 or something for that?
No, I don't
I don't
think
think
it's not regulated. It's just not regulated. And so, you'd be creating a rule to regulate something that you don't really have the bounds to regulate.
Right. So you can do it in Washington, but certainly any of our college athletes who are going to D1 programs, and we're talking even. Okay, volleyball is a huge sport. Don't get me wrong, but it's not bringing in football money.
Right.
But I know of a volleyball athlete who has been offered a scholarship and X amount of money. I know of one. I'm not going to name names. That's not for. But it's like wow, and that is part of the recruiting process. So now in football, if somebody was said, "Hey, we can get you $100,000 if you come here." And I don't know if that was an accurate statement or not, but for the dad of this quarterback to actually go on the record with several journalists to say, yes, this is what happened, and they didn't fulfill their promise. We didn't ask for any more. It was not like we went in and said, hey, we want more because we're 3-0.
Right.
So, and again, just to kind of Kel's point, and I guess yours too. I mean, and not to like besmirch $100,000. That's a lot of money, but that's not like life-changing money. Mm-hmm. And I also understand that he feels that the promise was breached, but like you're 3-0, you're at UNLV. I mean, it's not like Kennesaw State or something. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just you're doing well.
Yeah.
I mean. Okay. I'm just saying.
I'll get to that in a second, but I'm going to argue a little bit.
Tarkanian was going to take care of him.
I'm going to argue a little bit about 100,000.
We're talking Stacey Ogman here, right? Let's go.
That's right.
We have no idea what this person's money was.
Correct.
I will say a lot of the quarterbacks nowadays. They do come from well-off families because of all the camps and stuff. It's not. But if you could have your college paid for, which you're already getting that you're getting your college paid for, and then someone gives you $100,000 too. So you get a degree from a college and you have $100,000 in the bank. That's it might not be life-changing money to some people, but it is a very good start to life. There are a lot of people who got out of college and they're in debt. For sure. So having $100,000 head start, because I'm not saying this guy, I don't have no idea if this quarterback's good enough to be a pro quarterback.
Right.
I'm saying if his But if you get $100,000 in college to bring UNLV to the promised land or whatever, that's a nice start
that's
to
my point,
your
though,
life.
Right? Is not, and $100,000 is a lot, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that if he stuck it out at Vegas and the way the NIL works now, like coming in to the next season,
right? But he doesn't have a next season. That's his thing. So this is his last season of eligibility because he was at another school for his first. Oh, yeah, I think he came from Holy Cross. I think so.
It was Holy
I think
Cross.
He's got one more year left of eligibility. And what I'm saying is, if you were promised 100 and you only got 3,000, I get why you're angry, and it's like I'm out of here. So if we're going to believe that side of it, I also understand UNLV's point of view, which is it's a little too late now, and I can't give you that because then it's possibly breaking the law. So it's an ugly thing. But can you believe we're talking about this when 5 years ago?
Yeah, no.
Like,
but I understand they can't just give him the 100,000. But I mean, if he goes down, like I said, he goes down to a car dealership and there are ways to get him the $100,000 if that's what he was promised.
True,
right?
True. And it's such a weird world we're living in. But it is.
It is bizarre. It's totally bizarre.
The transfer portal and NIL. Every time I think, college football is ruined or college sports is ruined, then you look at the ratings. And they're through the roof.
Yeah, everybody's still watching.
I may not like a 12-team playoff, but I'm going to watch it.
Yep.
I like the 12 team. I love it.
And
I just go 16, baby.
Yeah. So anyway,
they'll get pretty soon all of December. It'll just be like D1.
I am afraid that within a few years there might only be 12 good college football teams around because there's not going to be any limits to this stuff, and the Alabamas of the world are going to,
Yeah, but the counterpoint to that though is I feel like we have more teams like this year. So when you look at college football landscape this year, it's not just Georgia and everybody else, or Alabama and everybody else. So Tennessee is pretty darn good.
Tennessee is really good.
Oregon's. I mean, like I think there's almost, in a weird way, almost more parity because Alabama can't get everybody now, right? That they wanted to get because somebody else is going to give more. Like they can only offer $1 million to so many guys or whatever they're doing. So there's other places that can get guys. It just feels weird. It just feels weird, and it's so unregulated.
Right.
Well, that's what's weird about it is that there's no. That's what college football Twitter was talking about. There's just nobody to come in and say. Right. It's like, okay, each school and each state, this is what you're kind of doing on your own. But to be honest, though, that's what they wanted.
Right.
It was. Which
is why, Phil Knight's Oregon Ducks can.
That's, that was the.
They might have a $200 million,
Yeah. Well,
roster.
And you see it, you see it more in basketball than football, but guys staying in college longer because. I'm making pretty good money.
Right.
I'm making pretty good money.
How much money did Caleb Williams make at USC after winning the Heisman Trophy and then coming back to Los Angeles' market?
Right. And SC, they're a private school, so they don't have to put out anything anyway.
But anyway, it's great. It's going to affect pro sports, good and bad. But I mean, remember, so John Elway, I don't know if he came from, I think his father was pretty well off, or his family, I don't know. But John Elway was able to say, I'm not going to the Colts. You got to trade me. And
he was also ready to go with the Yankees.
Oh, that's right.
I'll go play baseball.
That's true. He had his options for money that way.
Yeah.
And then Eli obviously did it to the Chargers.
Yeah.
But now almost anybody who's a first-round draft pick, I think I might have said this in the podcast earlier, anyone who's a first-round draft pick has already made millions as a college football player through NIL.
Right. Yeah.
So that they have now options. They have a little bit more leverage. I don't have to go to that team if I don't want to. And it's going to affect the draft and all that stuff.
100%.
It's going to be fun. But what happened at UNLV, I know it's just so weird to be talking UNLV, but that blows my mind that he did it after the season.
Yes,
like,
that's
the reverse holdout is a great way of saying it.
Well, how many conversations? Like, how long has this dialogue been going on between him and whomever at UNLV? Right? Like, look, I'm gonna quit playing.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right? If you don't do what you said, I'm going to quit playing.
Right.
And so I just wonder. I would be fascinated to know what those conversations.
My guess is they finally solidified. Like, we can't pay you now.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay.
All
And
right. Well,
like,
then
this
I
is a
can't
breach
play.
of contract.
Then I can't play.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, I'm not even saying he's wrong. I don't know.
No,
because
it's a weird situation
It's just
for sure,
bizarre.
especially that aging
But I will
piece,
say, as a
right?
team, as just someone who used to play team sports, that part of it feels wrong to me.
Yes.
100%.
You couldn't figure this out 3 weeks ago because now,
No, if
I've never seen a pro athlete just leave in the middle of a season on a contract.
There
Or-
was an
I guess
NFL wide
probably.
receiver that did that, I swear.
Okay,
But I don't remember. Was it Terrell Owens, one of those guys?
Antonio Brown, maybe?
One of those guys, they just said like,
I mean, I've seen
there's
people quit for other reasons.
yeah, but the contract piece, you're right. I don't know if it.
I just don't. That'd be interesting. Somebody can email us.
Yeah. Our
Paul.v@clarkcountytoday.com. Email me because I can't think of anybody right now who's just left in a contract after the season has started,
Right.
especially a quarterback. Holy cow. Could you imagine?
Like the starting
Imagine
quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes going, you know what? I don't think Dak should be the highest paid quarterback.
No. So, okay. The Hawks are 3-0.
Yeah.
Gino's in a contract year.
Yeah.
He could just go, okay, I'm out unless you give me my
Money right now. I
need to sign it
money for
today.
next year.
And Gino would be crushed
Oh, for
Yo,
by
sure.
fans and by the
Destroyed.
media. No matter,
Destroyed.
even if you think he's right,
Yeah.
he'd be crushed by almost everybody.
Yeah.
Because now is not the time to do that. That's what I just.
So we think that took a long time, though. But one of the original lawsuits for that, remember, was the O'Bannon brothers after UCLA won the basketball title in '95.
Right.
Because that was the first
Wasn't there
editions of some of those EA Sport games.
No.
Yeah.
I played that game in college.
Right.
Yeah,
and
so-
so those guys, Ed O'Bannon was on the cover
Yeah.
of NCAA basketball,
And
or
didn't
whatever
get
they called it.
Didn't
Didn't
get a
get a
dime.
dime. Yeah.
And
Got
so
nothing.
Right.
that started the original lawsuit.
I remember I had a friend I went to high school with, and he played at Western Oregon, and he was very good at Western Oregon, but. You would see he was like in a picture in all those TV ads. In the ads, they had a deal with the NAIA.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So
yes.
NAIA athletes were all.
Yes.
So hey, there's Bill Volk.
No, it was him, and they were playing against Willamette because it was a Willamette guy that was making the tackle or trying to make the tackle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
just like in the-
Bill Volk, a guy I went to high school with, was in all of these
Yes.
national ads.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It was like the shot that was on the TV
Right,
that
right.
they were advertising. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this because
Yeah.
I was I'm like, oh, that's Willamette in Western Oregon.
That's awesome.
We play those guys.
Yeah, and I went to high school with him, and he's
Yeah.
a high school coach now, I think. But anyway, but he didn't get a dime for that.
No
It was
money at
like-
all. No money at all.
It's funny. You could see his face and everything. It's not like So anyway, all right. So from there we go to professional sports and our fandom. My goodness, if you I'm not going to give away our secrets. There's no way we could post all of the texts that we post for our sports fandom. But for the most part, let me just tell our listeners, it's some ups and it's mostly downs if you've been a Mariner fan this year.
It was great for the first half, until June 19th.
And as a Raider fan, and
Did we
as
have a 10-game lead?
June 19th.
he did have a
10-game lead?
I think you lost it in record time.
No, we did.
Yeah, that's
Like 3.5 weeks.
yes.
We did.
That's hard to do.
I've been telling my daughter about that. It's like you have to almost try to lose a 10-game lead that
You have
quickly.
to, correct.
And
Watch this, everybody.
Hold my beer. Yes. Yes, yeah.
You think we're
and
safe?
And the Mariners did exactly that. So, but I'm also a Raider fan, so I feel for you guys, but I also tease you guys as I do sometimes troll you guys on our little
Sometimes.
our little our text group text message, whatever it's called. But I troll you guys sometimes. I do, and then hey, your Seahawks are 3-0, and you've already won the NFC West, right? Because the Niners are injured, and so
Rams stink.
Yeah,
And Cardinals are the Cardinals.
yeah, you can't possibly lose that. I guess. Exactly. There we go.
Man.
See, but here I am, a Raider fan all my life, and
You almost lost it this
I was in the
weekend, huh?
stadium Sunday, and again, so the Raiders, because we play in this incredible stadium in an amazing tourist city. Everybody wants to go watch their team play in Vegas. So the secondary market prices are outrageous. So people like me who do have these season tickets, we could make a lot of money selling them to anybody. And what's been going on the last 3 seasons, A lot of people are selling to just the highest bidder, which means the Pittsburgh Steelers, 50% of fans were Pittsburgh Steelers fans last year. 60% were Niner fans a while back. I mean, it's just they overtake the stadium. I get it. So the Raider fans, man, we need a game where it's just Raider fans. Well, this was it. There's no national following for the Carolina Panthers.
Are there any Carolina Panther fans out there?
There were. So it was about 90% Raider fans. So we finally get a Raider game, probably the biggest Raider game, Raider-centric fan game since the first game with fans against Baltimore in 2021. And then we come out and play awful. I mean, just horrible. So you can't – I'm like – why should I make sure that only Raider fans are in my seats if you're going to play like this? I was so mad. I was so down. Oh. I was like, oh my gosh. And it took me a couple of days, but now I'm convinced we're going to score 45 on Sunday. I'll be there again Sunday against Cleveland, and we're going to win, and we're going to go win the division. Because I'm a fan, and I've gotten over the hurt. But you guys did the same thing all season long with the Mariners. It's just ups and then mostly downs, especially the last few. But and it's like, why do we do this to each other? Why? Yeah. So Tony, why do we do this to ourselves as our fandom?
Well, specifically the Mariners is because I love baseball, and it's just one of those things. I think we've talked about this before, which is baseball just has a different rhythm than other sports, and I like that. I like the everyday part of baseball. Now, do I like the ripping my heart out? No. But I will be back at spring training next March. Looking forward to seeing some young kids make the team, and we'll do it again.
And as of this recording, there's still a slight. There's a slim.
They're not
slim
mathematically
chance.
Eliminated.
Yeah,
that's correct.
But Cale, why do you do this to yourself?
I don't know. I'm a sports fan, and I've been fans of I have 3 teams that I've been a fan of since I was a little kid. And, there's a whole lot of memories and wrapped up in being a fan. Some good, some not so good, and I don't feel like I don't choose it. It's not like I choose every year that I'm going to root for the Mariners or the Hawks or the Blazers. It just is.
It chooses you.
Yeah, it's just part of it. It's just part of who I am, and I could say I'm done with it. Like I'm fairly irritated at Mariner ownership right now and what they do, and so could I make a point and just say I'm not. I don't think I could. I would still be.
See, that's what sucks. They know that.
I know. And
If I did a search for the text messages, a search for the word "done," as in I'm done.
Yeah.
This year, it might be dozens of times that one or both of you said,
I just meant I'm done that night.
Yes.
There's a game tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm done.
Yes.
Yeah, but it feels final. You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels final. The way the Mariners have lost some games this year, it just
just last Sunday.
So, exactly. So, but anyway, and for me, last December, I'm in the stadium, and we score 63 on the Chargers. And the people the next to me was a mom and 2 sons, and one of the sons was like 6 or 7 years old, and they were Charger fans. And this 7-year-old is just distraught. And of course, you got the 53-year-old fat guy right next to him celebrating every play of this game. We scored 63. I'm only disappointed that we didn't score 70. You know what I mean? I'm not ripping on the kick. I'm just cheering for my team because I don't rip on anybody else. I respect all fandom. But I did get to tell the mom just looked distraught because the 6-7-year-old was just dying. This was like their Christmas present, and the Chargers just didn't show up. And I actually said, I was 6 years old when I went to my first game. I know it hurts right now, but if you stay a fan, the ups, the highs are worth all the lows. And there are a lot more lows than highs if you cover sports teams. I mean, even Patriot fans had horrific lows until
for sure until Brady and
they got it going.
Sure. I mean, they were hideous.
And I said, how about Red Sox fans or whatever? Well, Mariner fans, you still haven't hit the high yet, but you've had some moments in your life.
I can remember every big Mariner game.
Ken Griffey Jr. running around and a big slide or whatever. I think it was against the Yankees. You guys know it.
The big slide.
Yeah.
The big slide. Yeah, I don't think that's what that play's called. But
I know what you mean.
Hey, the Mariners won a big game. There's not too many of them. I remembered it. Okay, so
there you go. Fair point.
I remember they freaked out over winning 116, but couldn't win 8 more.
Oh, boy. That's because we had A-Rod still.
So anyway, but yeah, see, I think I'm being a troll there. Anyway. But I told this young guy, I said, if you are a fan for your whole life and you stay loyal, your team will bring you joy sometime. And that's kind of how I convince myself still after all these years. I've never regretted going to a game. Yeah. I still would rather lose in person than lose watching on TV. But this past Sunday was tough because the expectations and how awful we played.
Carolina was so bad.
Yeah, and they just crushed us. It wasn't a fluke. They crushed us. And so now it took me a couple of days, and I've got my grown nephew. He's 30-something years old, lives in Ohio. He came out to the game, but he goes to a lot of Raider games too. He's just like me. And we take turns picking each other up off the floor.
Right.
He was the first one on Monday. Hey, remember when the schedule came out, if we said we were 1-2, we're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Just take care of Cleveland, and we're back to 2-2 and reset. And I said, I need another day because right now I still want to sell all my tickets. That's what I checked. But by Wednesday, by today, I am fine. I'm ready to go, and we're going to score 45. And
now selling your tickets, though, Paul, that literally would be a business decision.
Well played.
That is true. That is true. So, but the only games I've sold so far this year at Pittsburgh, but to 3 Raider fans, and I gave them friend discount. Trust me, I have not sold as much as I can. Yeah. So
yeah, you could make.
Yeah, NFL right now, you could get a ton of money.
Yeah,
for sure.
But anyway, so to all you fans, all you Mariner fans out there, I respect your fandom. I chuckle at the Charlie Brown aspect of it all, but I'm also a Raider fan, so I guess I'm Charlie Brown too.
But it is here is the sickness, right? Is like they have a glimmer of hope of maybe slipping into the 3rd wild card spot, right? And even though it's not really probable and probably won't happen, I'm still gonna.
Right
until they're dead.
They got 3 games left.
Until they're dead, I'm gonna be following it.
It's gonna come to game 162. I don't care what anybody says. And it always does. Actually, 2 years ago.
Me and my nephew, we do this all the time. It's like, okay, the Raiders need to win out, and then 74 things need to happen.
Yes. And I love charting it.
And I will. Hey, there's a chance. So
I'm looking at Kansas City Royals starters tonight. Absolutely.
So
who's pitching?
So no, I get it. And so that's why we love sports, everyone. And wow, we've talked for almost an hour because we love sports so much. Is there anything, Cale, you wanted to say?
Just getting a little more disappointed right now because I'm looking at my phone and the Tigers and the Royals are both winning right now. So
the Royals pulled out the Nationals for the.
Tony, you have anything to add?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Well, this has been another fun podcast episode, and we'll see you. Well, we'll post another one in a couple of weeks. We did have one person say you should go weekly during football season. We're thinking about it. Maybe the second half of the season. I don't know. We'll figure it out on our schedule, but. Thank you for listening, no matter when we post this.